Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today, we are covering Proverbs chapters 4 through 7. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
You know, last week we did 3.
We did do 3.
This week we're doing 4.
Yes, we are.
Next week, I don't think we're doing 5.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll figure that out later.
Some of these are shorter.
Yeah.
They're all kind of medium length.
Yeah. So last week we talked a lot about wisdom.
Yeah.
And the personification of wisdom. This week we will also talk about that, and once we do, we're actually bringing back a commentary, or not really a commentary, but a book that we were using before.
Yep.
So we have brought back for today only, The Origins of Biblical Monotheism by Mark S. Smith. Yes. And also for today only, we have The Early History of God, also by Mark S. Smith.
Whoopee.
Wow, Mark,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, we should get Mark on the show.
That would be interesting. He's a devout Catholic.
Whoops.
We should still get Mark on the show.
I agree. That would be awesome.
It's a shame that we never got Eric on the show.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been great.
It's so hard to get devout Catholics on an atheist show.
Yeah, it is. But I have the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible.
We also have the Hebrew Bible, a translation with commentary by Robert Alter.
We also have the Holy Scriptures, according to some Jews, and the New King James Version.
As well as Eerdman's commentary on the Bible.
Yes, we do, Eerdman's commentary. And we also have our friend, Ball.
Yes.
There he is.
There he is. And if you would like to donate to Milwaukee Atheists and at once pay your tribute to
Ball, yes.
To Ball.
Yes.
You can also
Pay
help
tribute.
us with one of our interesting 666 experiments that we're planning and need some help on.
Yep, we're just saving up.
Thetans.
We're getting a thetan meter. We're going to read our thetans. So if you pay tribute, donate a few shekels to Baal here, then that'll help us out.
Yeah.
We'll
but
find out
he's
who's
getting
the
most
clearest.
of it. Ball actually needs money. So
Yeah. Well, shekels are money. They're the legal currency
yeah,
of Israel.
I understand, but
I've got a few
we're going to
shekel
give the money to him.
coins. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's how it's going to go. So anyways, how about we hop right into the readings?
Yep, let's do this. Chapter 4. Hear, ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to know understanding. He doesn't use sons here. Is it sons in your translations? Alter uses sons.
Yes, it is sons.
Yeah.
And that's probably the more literal term that's used there. But for a more broad survey, I should say, of Chapter 4, here's a note from Eerdman's. Chapter 4 consists of 3 separate instructions, each of which affirms the highest possible value of wisdom. The 3-word pictures of verses 1 through 9, 10 through 19, and 20 through 27 probably once existed separately and have been assembled into a larger composition. Each takes the form of an introductory recommendation for the acceptance of wisdom.
Okay.
So some good advice on why you should take good advice. Wow.
Sure. For I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother.
Oh, wait. Yeah, for I was a son to my father, a tender only child for my mother.
Oh.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
Yeah, that's a little different.
I was thinking
Only beloved by my mother.
he has never seen love from anyone else.
Well, actually, if the author of this is the same person as the author of the rest of the readings, which I doubt, honestly, but if it is, then yeah, we get some real nice guy energy coming out of this.
Great.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Nice guy TM, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, trademark.
Of course.
What do you...
Nice guy energy.
Thank you.
Good job. He taught me also and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. So now we have wisdom, or Sophia, making her appearance.
Yeah. For right now, we're just gonna leave it as a wisdom because that would probably be better. Honestly, I think that's a better representation of this text. Of course, later it would be adapted by Gnostics as Sophia. So here is a note because we're getting into wisdom, and then
I wonder if the Septuagint translates it as Sophia.
Maybe, yeah. There's also a few other words for wisdom. I don't remember them, but there are a few other words for that. Wisdom is shown to exist as a body of instruction based on parental teaching. That's for 1, 10, and 20. So this entire chapter would really be that. But the artistry of the presentation assumes that the authority of wisdom lies within its own essential nature, backed up by its power to bring success, long life, and happiness. It therefore needs no further reinforcement from any claim to a unique divine origin. It is enough that it accords with the true nature of the created world. Its authority is drawn from the experience of life itself, rather than from any unique event or person who can guarantee its special claims.
All right. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can we have a shirt that says that?
Get wisdom.
No, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, like in a meme format.
I like get wisdom.
Yeah, like a got milk.
Yeah, got wisdom.
Yeah.
That's wisdom. Good.
And with all thy getting, get understanding.
Of course.
Yep. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. You know, it's odd that they would say that getting understanding is a consequence of getting wisdom, rather than some kind of basic understanding being a prerequisite to gaining further wisdom.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you want to understand things, you need to be wise in them. It does seem a little off, yeah. Mm-hmm. Tell me when you get to the end of the stanza, I guess? The next verse?
There's no stanzas in the KJV.
Well, tell me when you get to the end of the next verse.
Okay. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee the honor when thou dost embrace her. She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace. A crown of glory shall she deliver to thee.
Yeah, so of course that imagery is very... It is meant to exalt the person who has wisdom. So here is a note from the chapter, The Formation of Monotheistic Theologies in Biblical Literature, from The Origins of Biblical Monotheism. And this is from a section called Wisdom and the Levites. Another example of mythic material used by specific sectors of society for monotheistic purposes may involve the imagery of wisdom personified. Proverbs 1-9 presents a divine invitation from the female personification of wisdom. In the past, a number of scholars compared the figure of wisdom to the Canaanite goddess Asherah. The tree of life, which recalls the tree of the Asherah, appears in Israelite tradition as a metaphorical expression for wisdom. And we got into that in the last chapter, Proverbs 3:18. Like the symbol of the Asherah, wisdom is a female figure, providing life and nurturing. Proverbs 3:18 may be especially pertinent. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are made happy. This verse closes a small unit consisting of verses 13-18 and forms a conspicuous chiasm with verse 13. The verse opens with, "Happy the one who finds wisdom." The unit begins and ends with the same root, to be happy. Specifically with asre, happy. That's the what that means. In verse 13, and me'usar, made happy. In verse 18, the inside terms of the chiasm are hokmah, wisdom, and eshayim, a tree of life. Finally, the terms asra and me'usar perhaps allude to the Asherah, the tree symbolizing life and well-being. Here we may see a move to monotheize the imagery of the Asherah in a wisdom framework. B. Lang has suggested that the female figure of wisdom functions as an image of the divine patroness of the Israelite school system. If so, Proverbs 1-9 uses the old mythic language associated with Asherah in the service of the particular social horizons of wisdom scribes. Accordingly, this use may represent a wisdom modification in the direction of monotheism. If Proverbs were a Levitical product, as perhaps suggested by verbal links with Deuteronomy, which we have noted actually, then one might argue further that the female personification of wisdom is the divine patron of the Levitical duties of teaching and writing, as these roles are attributed to the Levites.
Well, that's part of the reason why I think it is appropriate to use Sophia, because in certain verses, it is definitely wisdom, definitely is personified in a female form, right? And in other verses, it is not, right? So we have like verse 7 where it says, wisdom is the principal thing that is not a personification. That's treating wisdom as like wisdom as the abstract, whereas we have also a continuous theme of personified female wisdom figures. So I think it is appropriate to draw some kind of distinction.
Well, because you can personify a concept like that. So I think because it also speaks of it in its more abstract sense, then it would be more appropriate to just use wisdom, and it's being personified.
Right, but
because I mean, historically speaking, they may have taken this old figure, or some of the terminology used for this old figure, and I mean, we can get into that a little bit here, but I would think either way that wisdom personified would be a better way of looking at it.
Right, but I mean, Sophia is just the name that they give to wisdom personified, essentially.
Well,
I mean, there's a more clout when you get into the Gnostic literature.
Yeah, so it's definitely not just an idea in the Gnostic literature.
Right, but I mean, there has to be some other terminology from which to refer to the generic feminine personification of wisdom, right? Sophia is the only one that comes to the top of my head. Though I suppose if there was an earlier, identification of Asherah with that, they might say the same thing for Asherah, right?
Yeah, so one of the things here about Ben Sira, actually, which we will be reading after 2nd Maccabees.
Yes. Look out for that. We're finishing 2nd Maccabees on Friday, and the Friday thereafter, we're starting Sirach.
Yes. So Ben Sira, Ecclesiasticus, continues and amplifies the female personification of wisdom. So this is after, he said pretty much the same thing he says in this book as the other one. So after that, Ben Sira 120 draws on the image of wisdom as a tree of life. To fear the Lord is the root of wisdom, and her branches are long life. Ben Sira 24:17-17 likewise describes wisdom as different types of trees. Ben Sira 4:13 and Baruch 4:1, echoing Proverbs 3:18, use the image of holding fast to wisdom. And then he cites some other examples. But yeah, this is just the assimilation of the imagery of Asherah. I don't think it's an actual pointing towards some Asherah or wisdom cult. But I do think they are assimilating that language.
It's strange. Usually in the Jewish prayer books that I've seen, when they quote verses like this, they change it so that it's like generic pronouns. It. Right?
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't been looking at Jewish prayer books all that often.
Well, I've seen quite a few Jewish prayer books, okay? And Like they change it so like not she is a tree of life. It is a tree of life, right? Which is strange because here in the 1913 Holy Scriptures from the
Jewish Publication Society of America.
Yep. They still use the female pronouns. So I wonder if that's due to some other publication.
I have no idea.
I think that's in modern Catholic translations as well. From my knowledge of this part, very limited. I also think that it was depersonalized more recently and is not given a female indicator at all.
I don't know. I mean, pretty much all of the commentaries we've read and all the Bibles that we have here, I mean, they're all pretty set on the female pronouns.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when were they written? When was the most recent publication?
Not that long ago. The Altars, I suppose.
Yeah.
He published it very recently.
Very recently. Well,
I've got a different Tanakh at home. I should bring it in.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
there was that other Bible in the back that was more recent, but I meant super recent Bibles, and we'd have to check. Who knows?
Either way, but I think they're all pretty set on that pronoun, the female pronouns.
Yeah, Jonas says he can corroborate the thing about the pronouns from his experience.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. So we have this continual theme calling back to verse 4, right? Connecting like survival with wisdom.
Yeah.
Right. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in the right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened, and when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction. Let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life. Oh, so now it's not necessarily wisdom, right? Because we now have instruction personified, unless it's a different word in different translations. Do they use wisdom again?
Well, I would think instruction. Actually, let's see. He might have a note on instruction.
Yeah, verse 13.
Verse 13. Hold fast to reproof. Don't let go. Keep it, for it is your life. So I think the biggest thing here would be how... so obviously, we can relate this to the commandments and Moses.
Yeah.
So you obviously follow the teacher, but you have to also follow his teaching. So I guess in a way, like the words of, whoever is the speaker here, in their words, that's the teaching that they should follow on par with, at least symbolically, with the Torah.
Yeah.
And wisdom, I suppose, would effectively be the teacher because you need it for understanding, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why they personify it continually, right? Okay. Take fast hold of instruction. Let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life. And altar doesn't use gendered pronouns there.
Yeah, there, no.
Strange. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. Now, does altar translate that as evil men?
Just the way of the evil.
That's weird. What about the ESV?
That is verse 14.
That is verse 14.
Do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of evil.
Right, because the KJV presents it, right? Like all of the feminine pronouns that they associate with are all good things so far in this chapter, right?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily put this as like as a gender issue because there are
How many times have they said evil men or good men?
Well, it's happened
outside, or honorable men outside of this, and they meant people.
It's happened a lot, yes,
and
but
they just mean people.
I mean, yeah, I think they're mostly talking about just people overall, but I would say that because the father is primarily the teacher, it would be like silly to make this like a specifically gendered thing.
Well, I'm looking around because they do use a lot of feminine gendered terms.
They do, yeah.
And specifically in the KJV, which, for better or worse, is a lot of people's Bible.
Yep. Right? Sad truth right there.
So there is some form of juxtaposition, I think, in the KJV at least, between the gendered terms. I mean, if we're reading it from, the modern view, which modern Christians and Jews would, right? So that may be an unfortunate consequence of this translation. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall.
So this is actually quite different. So for they do not sleep if they've done no evil. And they are robbed of sleep if they trip no one up. So it's they're saying a similar thing, obviously, but this one makes it more conditional, I guess. And there is no note on that.
Okay. Yeah, so, they can't even rest unless they're causing other people to do evil.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ooh. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Bread and wine being important parts of the Jewish feasting rituals.
Yeah.
So some impiety is presumed.
So sad.
Right.
Sad.
But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. What is the perfect day? The day of judgment?
Even brighter till day has come.
Oh, just day in general.
Yeah, so this translation agrees with Fox and against many interpreters that Nekon Hayom, literally the establishment of day, does not refer to noon, but to the moment in the morning when the sun is fully risen and the daylight is strong. However, there is no warrant for construing or, the primary biblical term for light, as dawn, as Fox proposes, nor can one accept his understanding of the accompanying term noga as the derivative luminescence, since there are many biblical texts in which it is clearly a bright shining.
This next verse is, the way of the wicked is as darkness, they know not at what they stumble.
Yeah, so it's just drawing a contrast.
Right, which later on, Jesus has a very similar line, right? They know not what they do, right?
True, yeah.
Maybe influenced by this.
Maybe.
Right. Also, the first part of the verse is, an immediate juxtaposition to the previous verse.
Yeah.
My son, attend my words, incline thy ear unto my sayings. Is it my son or my sons in altar?
My son in altar.
That's interesting because in verse 1, they go, hear ye children in the KJV, which is sons in altar. And then here they have my son. And in verse 10 also, they have my son. So it switches from a plural to a singular. I'm assuming that these are where the
this story took so long
start.
that it went from several children to one.
Yeah, I guess. My son, attend to my words, incline thy ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes. Keep them in the midst of thine heart, for they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a froward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. So we have this walking analogy that gets brought up continually throughout the chapter.
When you walk in the way of righteousness,
you don't stumble.
You don't stumble.
Right. And these people...
Got to watch where you're going.
Yeah, and these people who are following the way of the wicked, they know not at what they stumble.
Yeah.
Right? So they're stumbling around. This gets brought up a few times. So the idea is to, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, put one foot in front of the other, keep your eyes forward, and if you stop doing that, you'll die.
As is tradition.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yep. And that was the end of chapter 4.
Yes. If you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, subscribe, comment, share it with all of your friends, family, neighbors, pets, bugs. I don't know.
Bugs, yes.
If you like,
lots of bugs.
Hand a cell phone to a praying mantis and see if it can smash that like button.
Use DNA editing to create a sequence that reproduces all of our episodes in genetic format for all of eternity. Thank you.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
And nobody else has obscure ones anymore. I want to make the dumbest one possible.
Here's some stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna switch over.
Okay, let's switch over.
Yeah.
I gotta get all these
so
books.
this is where we get to what I think will probably be the funniest part because of its absurdity, or maybe not even absurdity, but it is over the top and ridiculous. I would draw a slight distinction there. So
before you get into it,
yes.
this proverb, it's more like a psalm, right? The poem begins with the usual formula of exhortation by the mentor in the first 2 verses. In this case, we have one continuous poem until the end of the chapter, a warning about the wiles of strange women, and a celebration of the joys of conjugal sex. The poem is not quite narrative, like the matching poem of chapter 7, despite the certain narrative elements, but it is remarkable in the way it elaborates its argument through metaphor. So we're going to be covering chapter 7 later.
Yeah. So we'll see exactly how similar it is.
Yes.
And I guess different ideas. I don't know. I guess we'll get there and see.
And we're going to get a whole bunch of sexual imagery in this one.
Yes, we will. This is what you came here for. We know that you come here to Milwaukee Atheists at Atheist Sunday School to hear us talk about sexual imagery. You are here for the sexual imagery.
I thought, what? No, I didn't think that was the
You didn't
case.
think that? I thought that was it.
Depending on how good this is, we could start an account and upload this episode to Pornhub or something.
Ah, yes. Classic.
Very saucy material that we're covering today. So, yeah, Eerdmans says a major threat to the security and well-being offered by adherence to the teachings of wisdom is seen to be presented to a young man by the seductive allure of sexual temptation.
Yep.
Its dangers are highlighted here in threefold sequence.
This is the original MGTOW.
Yeah. So verses 1 through 6 identify the loose woman as a subject of temptation.
I thought this would be like a middle school educational video. That's how I'm feeling.
7 through 14 point to the public shame and ruination which will befall the man who falls for this woman's wiles. And 15 through 21 declare the satisfaction and contentment to be found in marital fidelity.
Yeah, so obviously cheating on your spouse is a bad thing. But the way they kind of lump all that in with just like, these sexual women and taking you away from wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah, that stuff, yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty much how it's framed.
Just a few details about this. The loose woman, the question of the correct translation of the phrase rendered loose woman in the NRSV, NIV, and REB, adulteress, GNB, another man's wife, has occasioned extensive discussion. It becomes evident from 6, that's chapter 6,
24 through 26 that the phrase included a woman already married, hence adulteress. However, the term likely applied to women who either had no immediate family ties or who were disloyal to them.
Well, let's hop right into chapter 5.
Yeah.
My son, be attentive to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep discretion, and your lips may guard knowledge. For the lips of a forbidden woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. Ooh,
so-
honey and oil.
Yeah, that's a bad combination, I think. But
I think there should be some textual notes on that.
yeah, the sensual ripeness of the alliteration in Hebrew, nofet titofna sifte zara, has a nearly identical counterpart in Song of Songs 4:11. In the translation, lip strip is a gesture toward this cluster of sound. The seductive lips are a counterpart to the lips that should keep knowledge in the preceding line. For the open mouth, the literal meaning of chek is palate, since it is in all likelihoods not speech but kisses that are referred to in both halves of the line. The translation adds open, in keeping with the erotic enticement that the poem surely had in mind.
Man, people have not changed much.
Yeah. The Hebrew term used, as we shall see, sets up a strategic pun that occurs later in the poem.
So the word that's translated in the ESV as forbidden is actually strange. Sometimes it's translated as strange, which would just, I'm guessing initially that it would be foreign, but that was my initial guess. But as we keep reading, it's probably not. So yeah, forbidden.
Forbidden woman? Or
Yeah, because the phrase in here is for the lips of a forbidden woman.
okay, so Alter says stranger woman.
Yeah, that would make that would make more sense.
KJV says strange woman. I just read this part, right?
Yeah.
It's loose woman in the NRSV, adulteress in the NIV and REB, another man's wife in the GNB, etc.
Yeah.
Wow.
But in
They're
the
all
end,
different but bad.
yeah. But in the end, she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword.
The literal sense of the Hebrew is sword of two mouths, thus called because in biblical idiom, the edge of the sword consumes. The idiom in this way shrewdly loops back in an antithesis to the lips and mouth or palate of the seductress. So
Makes
this is
sense,
the
yeah.
pun.
Yeah. Her feet go down to death. Her steps follow the path to Sheol. She does not ponder the path of life. Her ways wander, and she does not know it.
Okay, so focused as she is on sexual pleasure in the arts of seduction, she has no sense that she has embarked on a disastrous course.
Ah, so sad. Just like the evil people from the other chapter.
Right, and we would assume that this is because adulteresses are going to be put to death, but Eerdmans...
Yeah, there's a good amount of stuff on that.
Yeah, Eerdmans remarks on this, the community as a whole would learn of such bad behavior and condemn it, holding the man as well as the woman responsible for acting dishonorably. The social standing of the culprit would then be undetermined. Such warnings seem to indicate that it was improbable that the death penalty by which the law imposed on adulterers would be imposed, from Deuteronomy 22 through 29. See also John 8:1 through 11.
Yeah, that's the part in John. That's the pericope adultery. That's with Jesus and the woman taken into adultery.
Which, as you've gone over
Yeah.
pretty extensively in your own videos,
Yeah.
we know is a later edition.
Yeah, not original. And if you are interested in that, I have a video on that called "What Would Jesus Do?" Because the entire thing is "What would Jesus do?" You'll see. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah,
After the
watch
show.
that after this.
Yeah. And now, O sons. So now it's plural sons again.
Yes, the mentor temporarily switches to the plural, perhaps to generalize the case of this particular young man, but then he switches back to the singular in the next verse.
Oh, okay.
Incredible.
And now, sons, listen to me, and do not depart from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her, and do not go near the door of her house.
More literally, this would be the opening of her house.
Of course it would be.
Though the admonition is literally spatial. Steer clear of her house. Don't even think of approaching the door. An analogy is intimated between the woman's house and her body. In the Talmud, this Hebrew term, petach, becomes a designation of the vagina in some discussions of marital law.
Uh-huh, makes sense. Yeah, we really have not changed much, have we?
No.
Lest you give your honor to others and your years to the merciless, lest strangers take their fill of your strength and your labors go to the house of a foreigner.
The causal mechanism is ambiguous. If the woman is married, like the stranger woman in chapter 7, the young man might be stripped of his resources by a husband's suit for damages. If she is single, she could turn out to be a gold digger who, exploiting his sexual obsession, would take him for all he's worth. I didn't think that Robert Alter would use the term gold digger.
So yeah, this is what I was saying. It's very very MGTOW nice guy.
This is my favorite proverb so far.
Yeah, it's really great. Let's continue. And at the end of your life you groan when your flesh and body are consumed, and you say, how I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. So it's a very this is very polemical.
Right, because of the lack of wisdom in
It's
his
like,
actions.
Oh, how dumb was I? I was so stupid. I will now.
Yeah, you could have been productive for
Right.
the entire day.
Well, it's like the wisdom is necessary for living.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, because now the result of not acting in wisdom is he's literally in bad health. He's in a bad situation. He might die because of a jealous husband or something, you know.
Yeah, maybe. But although this one doesn't really talk about wisdom.
Well, it's implied through how I hated reproof and my heart despised rebuke, and I did not heed my teacher's voice.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because the next verse, I did not listen to the voice of my teachers, or incline my ear to my instructors. I am at the brink of utter ruin in the assembled congregation.
Literally, the assembly and congregation, which here is construed as a hendiadys. The idea is that the real harm suffered here is because of the stranger woman will be compounded by public shaming. Right? Yeah, so it sounds very much like, well, Lawrence, Timmy didn't listen to his teachers, and now Timmy's dead.
Oh my gosh.
Are you gonna be like Timmy? Are you gonna be dead?
And then you're like, yeah. Eventually.
Drink water from your own cistern.
What? The association of the well with female fertility, and especially with the womb or vagina, is reflected both in the Song of Songs and in the recurrent betrothal type scene, where the young man encounters his future bride by a well, which happened with Rebecca, right? Or Leah.
I forget which one.
But with this well, the pure waters of the well are an antithesis to the sweet honey and smooth oil of the seductress's mouth. It is not clear whether the young man is already married or being urged to enter marriage and its pleasures before he succumbs to the lure of the stranger woman. But, drinking from your own well has other implications as well.
Yeah, it does, obviously.
Yeah.
But let's continue this because it gets kind of weird. So I'd like to hear some of the commentary on this.
Yeah.
Drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets?
Many critics prefer to follow the reading of the Septuagint, lest your springs spread to the street, because of the idea that the husband should enjoy his own private well within the confines of his house. But since the spring or well is associated with the woman, it is not altogether clear what this would refer to.
Yeah.
Perhaps by a stretch, to prospects that the wife could become promiscuous because of her husband's infidelity, which is not entirely plausible. I don't think it's not entirely plausible. I think that it's plausible to see.
Called revenge.
Yeah.
Sex.
Yeah, it's called revenge. Happens all the time. I'm not sure if Robert Alter is familiar. Right? The line, okay. Which the line might mean, as we have proposed, that the consequences of a man's drinking from his own well, which perhaps would be his offspring, will
That's
be
what I was
felt.
guessing. I was guessing it was offspring, but the thing, yeah, because if you go around, fucking a bunch of people, then is the implication here that they're going to be scattered around everywhere?
Oh, no. What if
You're
it's
gonna have
like...
sex with your kids and you won't even know it.
Yeah, it's like that. You're going to sleep with all these strange women, and you're going to continue doing that, and, like 20 years from now...
Maybe that's it.
That's terrible, but that's my best guess of the incredibly vague wording here.
Yeah.
Let them be for yourself alone, and not for strangers with you. Talking about the waters, obviously. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth. A lovely deer, a graceful doe, let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. This is erotic.
Okay, this is a little different because
I'm going to finish the
Alter-
verse. I'm going to finish the verse.
okay.
Be intoxicated, always in her love.
Okay, so Alter says, love's doe, a graceful gazelle, her breasts ever slake your thirst.
Slake.
Thirst.
Yeah.
Like slake.
So
This is the best proverb.
okay, let's look over this. These delicate animal images are drawn from the same repertory as the animal images repeatedly used in the Song of Songs. Also, the animal apocalypse
That's true. Yeah.
which didn't use does as
Did not. It
humans.
used cows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bulls.
Yeah.
All different colors.
Yeah. The love attached to doe, ahavim, suggests lovemaking rather than emotional relationships, ahava. Her breasts ever slake your thirst. Some interpreters revocalize dadim, breasts, as dodim, lovemaking, in keeping with the language of the Song of Songs. But given the emphasis on the poem on drinking, the physical image of drinking from the breasts may be more likely. That's kind of gross.
Well, I don't. I mean, to each their own, right? But like,
Maybe they just mean sucking on it.
be
because men
intoxicated
like that,
always
maybe.
in her love.
Some do.
Well, no, I think that they're. I think they're drawing a parallel between the drinking and the intoxication. I guess, but always they're tying in three things here. I think. But anyways, why should you be intoxicated, my son, with a forbidden woman and embrace the bosom of an adulteress?
Yeah, it is characteristic manner of biblical poetry and the biblical narrative to effect the move from one segment of the text to the next by repeating a key word used in a different sense.
Yeah.
Here, the core meaning of sh, g, h, to give oneself to excess or wild feeling is retained. But there is a switch from a positive valence, the beloved's wife, to a negative one, the stranger one. The lap, the Hebrew chek, is obviously a metonymy for the woman's sexual part, and it puns on the term for another orifice, chek, palate, or mouth used at the beginning of the poem, and thus registers a small narrative progression. The allure of the seductress's mouth leads to dangerous sexual intimacy.
Yeah, yeah. And
Who knew this was in the Bible?
I'm sure a lot of people knew this was in the Bible.
I'm just saying that, do you think that a local pastor would go, yeah, I'm going to read that today?
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh man,
I've not heard this.
Either
That's all
way.
I'm saying. Otherwise,
it's a good thing that the main part of bar mitzvahs is the Torah, because if they were assigned Proverbs chapter 5, a 13-year-old, could you imagine?
I'm coming into manhood.
Yeah, like a little kid. They invited all their Sunday school
all your children
friends.
Mickey Mouse.
I don't know.
Oh man.
For a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. You know, that reminds me of the stuff we were reading in 2nd Maccabees about remember the mother and her 7 sons?
Yeah.
And she was given, what was it, manly strength? Or something like that?
Yes.
So it kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, for a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare him, and he is held fast in the cords of his sin. He dies for lack of discipline, and because of his great folly, he is led astray. So yeah, it's tying back to earlier in the chapter about about him dying.
Yeah, definitely. But that's the end of chapter 5.
Because of the discipline.
Do you
Yes, that's the
hear
end.
something strange?
You know, I do hear something strange. This has never happened before. Oh no. Oh no. Is he going to see it?
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Oh my God, Jesus. Oh, you scared me. See, we didn't want Jesus to see or hear us talking about sex in the Bible. Like that would have, I was dreading that. And now it's happened. And look what he has done. He has taken Reuben. Because Reuben was being overly sexual. He was objectifying the Bible. And now Reuben's gone. I hope he comes back. Maybe he's going to come back as, a changed man. He will be repented or whatever. He will repent. So hopefully that's gonna happen, because we know Jesus would not like us talking about sex in the Bible like that ever again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if...
Great monologue, man.
Thank you. I don't know if Jesus would appreciate... I don't know if he liked this proverb.
Oh man, I was
he's
taken
back
to this terrible place.
A
There were
terrible
all of
place.
these strange women there with these seductive palates.
Oh, no. Did they have oil and honey?
Yeah, just
Nice.
Yeah, it was wild. You should have been there. You would have
Nice.
loved it.
Lots of old, oily honey.
Yeah, it's way past its
Gross.
expiration date.
Yeah, it's all like separated, like the sugar's coagulated at the bottom. Gross.
Yeah, good stuff. Either way, that was the end of chapter 5. So how about we hop right into chapter 6?
Chapter 6, my son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth, thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. Okay.
So it's a little bit different in here. You've been ensnared by your mouth's sayings, trapped by your mouth's sayings. The characteristic pattern of biblical poetry would be to use a synonymous phrase in the second verset instead of the self-same words. In fact, the Syriac translation reads for the second verset, by the words of your lips, and that may well have been the original version.
It may have been. You know, it's like that situation where you argue yourself into a corner,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so do
How
this.
does that happen?
Happens all the time with you.
No, man, I'm good.
Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself. When thou art come into the hand of thy friend, go be humble and make sure of thy friend. Give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. Deliver thyself as a roe from the hands of the hunter, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler.
So let's talk a little bit about these first few verses. So Erdman's comments, the first theme in 6:1-5 concerns the foolishness of seeking to help a neighbor by giving a pledge for a financial liability undertaken by him. The teacher is wholly opposed to such an action, a theme which recurs in several short proverbial instructions. It is looked upon as a well-meant deed that is wholly undesirable, putting at risk the would-be helper's own financial position. It left a person at the mercy of others over whom he would have no real control, the debtor as well as the creditor. Moreover, slavery to debt was a real threat for the unfortunate and the unwary, and to jeopardize one's own position and family unnecessarily was seen to be utter folly. So, that would be a big mistake to I guess help others at the cost of yourself. But I guess it's too much. Don't do it too much.
Right.
But of course, one of the interesting things that I have here and note, what would Jesus do? In the New Testament, one of the things says, giving up all this stuff to follow Jesus. Now, I don't think in the New Testament they're talking about it literally, but at least in theory.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's
all right. Well, I mean, without a direct reference to whatever part of the New Testament, I can't say much about that. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which, having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding in the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man. So, if you're lazy, you're going to become impoverished.
Yeah, and I have a shield-bearing man.
A naughty person.
A worthless fellow is what I have.
A wicked man walketh with a froward mouth.
Although naughty is kind of good for our reading today.
Yes. It's very much in line with the previous chapter.
Yes, it is.
He winketh with his eyes. He speaketh with his feet.
What?
He teacheth
Dances?
with his fingers.
All right, watch my fingers.
All right.
Okay.
Let's try to understand what the hell that verse is saying. These gestures are evidently expressions of attempted seduction or deception.
Oh.
But as they are cataloged, they clearly represent the worthless fellow as someone who makes himself look grotesque.
So
Teaching with your fingers.
He's dancing, he's touchy,
Yeah,
and he winks a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a vulgar
It gets
fellow.
better, actually.
Yeah.
Carry on.
I have an image of like a used car salesman doing a lot of
no.
Trump hand signs. Frowardness is in his heart. He deviseth mischief continually. He soweth discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him.
So this numerical pattern, 6 or indeed 7, and elsewhere 3 or indeed 4, is used several times in Proverbs and occasionally in the prophets. The miscellaneous character of the list accords with the miscellaneous character of this whole unit, which runs from verse 12 through verse 19. So let's learn about these things.
Yes. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, like the blood of those 1-year-old calves that get sacrificed
A
at
little
the
bit,
temple.
yeah.
A heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. You know, they already said lies.
Yeah, they did. But this time it's more specifically a legal thing, a false witness.
Yeah, but false witness is a subsect of...
I know.
Okay.
This is just more specific.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's like, there's 6 things that the Lord hates, or maybe 7, right?
Okay,
And-
so I guess this would explain the maybe 7.
yeah, I
All
guess.
right, he lists one thing and then he says lion, and then he lists another
He
thing.
says
and
lying
then he
again,
Says lion.
but more specifically,
He's
this
just one of those
specific
guys
kind of
that
lie.
says lying in between everything else.
Right. My son, keep thy father's commandment and forsake not the law of thy mother. So that was in a previous psalm.
It was, yes.
Yes.
Was that in the first one or the second?
It was...
Yeah,
It was in the first psalm, Psalm 1, verse 8. My son, hear the instructions of thy father and forsake not the law of thy mother.
Okay.
But it's a little different here. It's keep thy father's commandment and forsake not the law
Yes.
of thy mother.
So as I was talking about before with the whole Torah and teaching thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bind them continually upon thine heart and tie them about thy neck. So that's like, the laws.
Very, very close to,
laws.
yeah.
Which
this is
you're
just-
commanded to bind on your hands and inscribe them on your posts and on your gates.
Well, the thing is, it would be a little bit different. So, the unit that begins here, a warning against the dangers of adultery, is relatively long and has a formal exordium that takes up 4 verses, 20 through 23. The adding of mother to father points to a solid conjugal couple, contrasting to adulterers. So the theme is overall changing here.
Mhm.
And so this is more I think this would be, when it comes to your father's teaching, your mother's teaching, your father's command, it would be Proverbs. I don't think that would be the law.
Mhm.
But treat them as if they were the law.
When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. When thou awakest, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman, lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Ooh. So, again,
Yeah.
you're brought to impoverished state.
Lump of bread.
Yeah. Wonderful psalms today.
They're not psalms.
They're poems.
Proverbs.
They're proverbs, and they're also biblical poetry, which means they're psalms.
Whatever, man.
Yep. Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her shall not be innocent. Men do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry, but if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold.
So sevenfold. That one, let's note that one. Because remember Cain?
Yes.
Yeah, because if someone killed Cain, then the vengeance upon them would be sevenfold.
Right.
So it's interesting that, Cain did the wrong thing, and then killing Cain would be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the punishment.
Mm-hmm. He shall give all the substance of his house. It's really strange, though, because usually they warn against doing things just like because they're wrong, right? Here, it's specifically if he's caught.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing nothing wrong if you're not caught doing something wrong.
Well, maybe it's still wrong, but maybe if we're specifically talking about a legal context here, that would make sense because you have the whole sevenfold thing.
Right, but it seems like it's not really about legal advice here. It's about rather keeping an upstanding image of yourself in the community.
Maybe, but then here's this note that I don't know if it will or won't change your mind. In the perspective of literary forms, it is noteworthy for the similarity, this section here, noteworthy for the similarity of its opening admonitions to expressions in Deuteronomy 6:7 and 11:19. How this similarity is to be explained has been variously judged since. Even though some literary influence appears certain, it is unclear which passage is older. So, this is a might. So if they were taking from, a legal text like Deuteronomy for this, then it would make sense legally.
Right. Well, the reason I say it is because here we have like this thief, right? And this specific metaphor through these 3 verses is just about this, or these 2 verses, rather, are just about this thief. But then we switch back over in the next verse to the adulterer, right?
Yeah.
It says, "But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul." So previously they said men do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. This being an action for satisfaction of the soul, the adultery being an action of destruction of the soul, right? But the thief here, like, people don't have anything against him. It's only if he's caught where he has to face the punishment. But this adulterer, just by virtue of performing the action, destroys their own soul.
Yeah.
It says...
Here's the note from Alter on let one not scorn the thief in verse 30. The 2 verses here on the thief seem to interrupt the disquisition on the dangers of adultery, which resumes with verse 32. The connection may be in the next verse set. To fill his belly, literally throat or appetite, when he hungers. And the prospect of impoverishment invoked in the next line, the thief takes what does not belong to him because he is hungry, a more elemental appetite than the lust that impels the adulterer, who takes a woman who is not his. The likely consequence for the thief is being stripped of all he possesses, whereas the adulterer's fate is shame, possible destitution if the husband demands damages, and even death if the husband's jealous rage turns lethal.
But this thief, even the punishment that the thief gets, they have to give up all of the substance of their house. But if they're really in such economic situation where they have to steal a loaf of bread in order to survive, they probably don't have much substance to their house to begin with, so they don't face that big of a punishment.
Well, to them it would be that big of a punishment.
Right, but...
My lump of bread.
what are they?
That's all you have.
What are they gonna do? Are they gonna strip him naked?
I don't know.
Are they gonna take the clothes off his back? Probably not.
Named the bread and everything.
But then just grab a sheet somewhere But anyways, a wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts.
So those last two verses there, here's a note from Ehrman's. Verses 34 and 35 strongly hint that the death penalty was unlikely to be imposed on an adulterer. Both Pentateuchal law and the emphatic teaching in Proverbs reflect the difficulty experienced in antiquity in obtaining satisfactory proof that the adultery by consenting adults had taken place.
Right, because you need 3 witnesses.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I guess would be pretty hard.
So 3 guys walk in a room.
Yeah, so is the guy.
It was a setup for a joke.
Though, I mean, technically, if you just have one person who witnesses it and there's 2 people engaging
Sure, you could
in
say
the
that's
act,
3, but
they're not going to claim to be witnesses of...
exactly.
Yeah.
It's 2 against
Anyways, that's the end of that Proverbs chapter. If you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe,
Share. Yes, definitely share. Post this on your Facebooks and your Twitters and your
us
TikToks
to-
and your whatever. I don't know.
Use the
Playlists.
Google machine.
Playlists.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, so now we are hopping into chapter 7.
Chapter 7, and
Yeah.
there's a little bit here in Eerdmans. It says, this poem, which bears all the marks of having been an independent composition, uses the emotional appeal of the story of an encounter between a young man and a prostitute to maintain interest. It has been given a general wisdom introduction in verses 1 through 5, which is of special interest because of its identification of the teacher parents' wisdom as commandments.
Yeah, so this is kind of the thing we were talking about before.
Yep. And it says, this close association with God's commandments is further enhanced by the advice to bind them on your fingers, which compares closely with Deuteronomy 6:8 and 11:8.
Yeah, so it's as reflected in the previous chapter. It's very close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also has like this theme of woman that
Yeah.
you're not supposed to diddle.
Yeah, so this is
Diddle.
Yeah.
so the other section that we were reading, many of the sections we were reading today, there was warning against adultery. That's chapter 5. There was warnings against adultery, and now there's warning against the adulteress. Those are the titles. So it's to show you the
Great.
distinction between these.
Wow.
My son, keep my words and treasure up my commandments with you.
This poem, a unified structure that takes up the entire chapter, is framed by a 5-line exordium with the specific topics introduced in verse 5 and a 4-line conclusion, verses 24 through 27, in which the speaker points to the moral of his story. What unfolds in between these frames is the closest to a sustained narrative that one finds in Proverbs.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of similarity to stuff we've already read.
Mhm.
Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teaching as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart.
Because the heart was the center of the mind
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
Right. So literally memorize them.
Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call insight your immediate friend. Whoa, okay.
They
Called-
personified insight,
That's
and then
that's
you
what it
call
looks
him your
like.
Says-
immediate friend.
Call discernment a friend.
Okay, so you are my sister. Yeah, so say to wisdom, you are my sister.
Yep.
And call insight your immediate friend. Okay, so that's what the father said to the son. Call insight your immediate friend.
Yes.
To keep you from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words. So we're back on that.
What's up with these
Smooth
smooth talking
words.
women? Yeah.
I feel like writing
I
a
haven't
song.
many of those.
For at the window of my house I have looked out through my lattice.
The mentor enjoys a spatially superior position, able to survey the street scene below where sexual dangers await the unwitting. He himself sheltered from curious eyes by the lattice through which he peers. As he goes on with his story, however, he moves from visual observation to novelistic invention in the vivid dialogue he provides for the seductress. His post of observation in his house is a counterpoint to the house of the stranger woman with its lethal dangers. The narrative will be defined in part by the two thematic keywords, house and way.
And I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youths, a young man lacking sense, passing along the street near her corner. Wait, what? Near her corner?
Presumably the stranger woman.
Sure. Taking the road to her house in the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness.
This line is a vivid instance of the deployment of narrative development from the first verset to the second in lines of biblical poetry. When the young man goes into the streets, heading in the direction of the seductress's house, whether intentionally or inadvertently, evening is falling. In the next moment, one might recall that sunset is quick in the latitude of the land of Israel. It is already night, under the cloak of which the arts of seduction can be exercised with impunity. The word for pitch black is ishon, otherwise the apple of the eye, as in verse 2. That is the deepest part of the eye. It is a characteristic procedure of biblical narrative and poetry to repeat the same word with different meaning as a move is effected from one segment of the text to the next.
And behold!
Behold!
The woman meets him, dressed as a prostitute, wily of heart. She is loud and wayward.
She is a married woman, not a professional prostitute. The reference is probably to provocative attire, not to clothing explicitly marked for the practice of prostitution.
She just doesn't have
The
giant
Bible,
signs
everybody.
pointing to her with
Yep.
The
prostitute
Bible.
written on it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So verse 11 here,
Yeah,
did you finish it?
almost.
Okay.
She is loud and wayward. Her feet do not stay at home.
So in this society, a woman's place is in her home.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Her going out into the streets is an expression of her sexual restlessness, no doubt encouraged by the extended absence of her husband.
Of course, of course.
Of course.
Now in the street, now in the market, and at every corner she lies in wait. Like a cougar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what? He did say that there was a young man earlier.
Yep.
She seizes him and kisses him, and with bold face she says to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I have paid my vows.
The point is not merely her hypocrisy in launching an overture to adultery fresh from the temple service, but also that she is proposing to him a sumptuous meat dinner as a prelude to sex. The shelamim, well-being offerings, would have only in part been burned on the altar, with another part of the animal reserved for feasting.
So now I have come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly, and I have found you. Oh my God. Oh, this is going to be good. Okay. I have spread my couch with coverings, colored linens from Egyptian linen.
Now she moves to the site of sexual consummation, explaining that she has lavishly prepared her bed with luxurious cloths imported from Egypt, scented with aromatic spices, in verse 17, imported from Arabia and the East, probably India. It is clear that the seductress has means of affluence at her disposal, in all likelihood provided by her husband's activities as a merchant, in verse 20.
I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love till morning. Let us delight ourselves with love, for my husband is not home. He has gone on a long journey. Well, he should be home. Social distancing.
Yep.
He took a bag of money with him. At full moon, he will come home.
So it says a purse of silver. This detail equally suggests that the husband is a prosperous merchant and that he will be away for a long time.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
It's getting steamy.
Ooh. Some interpreters see it as a hint that she is requesting money from the young man, though that is not a necessary inference.
She's just suggesting wealth, I think.
With much seductive speech, she persuades him. With her smooth talk, she compels him. All at once he follows her, as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as a stag is caught fast, till an arrow pierces its liver, as a bird rushes into a snare. He does not know it will cost him his life.
So at verse 22, a stag prances into a halter. The received text at this point is garbled. The New Jewish Publication Society, for example, renders it a fool for the stocks of punishment, not translating the first incomprehensible word ukheekes and producing an unlikely parallel to the preceding verse about the ox going to slaughter. Instead of the Masoretic ukheekes el musar awel, this translation adopts a proposed emendation ukheekes el musar ayal, which involves a mere revocalization of the first word and deleting the waw in the last word with revocalization. Musar in this animal context would not mean reproof as it does elsewhere in Proverbs, but sash or halter, the meaning of this word in Job 12:18.
And we discussed earlier in the show, but usar, it has something to do with like the root of being happy. Asra, yeah. That's the root word there.
Yes.
So, anyways.
Yeah.
Where was I? We were talking about adultery, of course, right?
Yeah, what verse were you on? Did you talk about the arrow piercing the liver?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so the image may be an image of a fatal wound, though biblical Hebrew links the liver with sexual desire. So it could conceivably refer to venereal disease.
Thanks. And now, O sons, listen to me, and be attentive to the words of my mouth. Let not your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths. For many a victim she has laid low. That looked like V-E.
Oh.
For many a victim she has laid low, and all her slain are a mighty throng. Her house is the way to Sheol, going down to the chambers of death.
Yeah. So, try to avoid the clap.
Also, try to avoid the chambers of death.
Yeah.
Her chambers in her house while her husband is away doing stuff.
So Eerdman says...
Okay, just to be clear here, obviously don't cheat on the person you're with. That's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's bad.
I don't care how many people you want to fuck, but consenting adults, hopefully single, because cheating on, unless you're like in an open thing. But either way, don't cheat on people.
Because those open things usually work out so well for the people who are involved in them for long periods of time.
Sometimes they do, yeah.
From what I've seen, it's incredibly rare.
I mean, I know plenty of happy, open couples.
I know maybe 2.
I don't know anybody.
Okay, Boomer. The guy who wrote this is probably he would be the kind of person we'd call a boomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Eerdmans says about this proverb. Together, the subtle artistry of the encounter described here, the repeated warnings given more extensively, and the disastrous nature of the declared end of those who pursue promiscuous sexual relationships indicate that the wisdom teachers felt promiscuity to be a major source of social dislocation.
Yeah.
The extent of the treatment of the subject in Proverbs 1 through 9 suggests that the harsh rulings of the Pentateuchal legislation concerning adultery could not be confidently imposed. Sexual promiscuity in biblical times, as so often since, was revealing itself as a problem which the legislative authority of the law could not control, and on which the educational pervasiveness of wisdom was seen to provide as much needed support. Much needed support.
Yeah, so, the author was very much afraid of the social downfall that having a lot of sex can lead to. What are you doing? You're turning... Okay. Sorry about that hand, a very awkward hand.
Yeah,
came out of
Chris
nowhere.
was just creeping and crawling on the ground
As he does.
like a centipede,
It's a skill.
like a human centipede.
Not everyone's ready for that circumstance.
If you were in the human centipede, which part you want to be, the front, the middle, or the back?
The front.
Probably the front. Yeah, that's not
an easy
even...
question.
You sure about that?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
All of them suck. That one sucks the least.
I think the middle will die faster.
definitely.
So I don't think that the last one will die necessarily.
Well, the last one will die when the middle one dies.
No, then you just cut them off.
No, you don't cut them off.
Oh,
That's
well,
the
you
point.
still got your arms. Yeah, I do.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, let's
not
get
talk about...
defunded by YouTube for talking extensively about the human centipede.
Well, we
And
had a weird
but
episode.
How did this happen?
Well, probably because we're talking about venereal diseases for like the past 3 chapters. So, yeah, very interesting chapters that we read today.
So what was the best one then? Was it not 7? It was
6 was really good.
Was it 6?
6 was
Yes,
the best.
I think 6 was
5.
the best.
No, 5 was really good. Go back to it, and there were all sorts.
5 was good. 6 was good. They're all good.
7 was pretty good, but 5 was my favorite.
5
I
was
think.
probably the best.
No, I think I think 5 was the best.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, 5.
I mean, it's
we're gonna
even
remember
got
this.
It's even got puns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it.
I'm gonna remember this.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff there. So that is the end of the show for today. Hey, if you guys enjoyed the stream, make sure you drop a like, you share, you subscribe if you have not already. Do all that nifty stuff. We also have our donation drive.
Yep. If we get $666 in donations, that is cash offerings to our golden calf.
Absolutely.
Then we will be getting a thetan meter, and we are going to see who's the most clear.
Yeah. What else we got going on? We got Patreon. Lots of cool stuff on Patreon.
Yep.
You can get access to all of our video scripts.
You can be on this show.
You could be on this show.
You can get entered into a t-shirt giveaway.
Yeah,
You
t-shirt
can get
giveaway.
The books that we publish. You can get invited to events that we host.
Well, we will host them. I mean, obviously, right now it's not the best time to do
We
that.
were talking before, though.
Yeah, so we
But
actually
that sounds kind of hard, but we might try.
hold on. I want to run an idea by the chat.
Mm.
So, a conference. It will be like an actual conference. We're gonna have speakers and everything, and it's gonna be just like a conference, except it will be live on YouTube. Obviously, no like admission fees or anything.
Is that something that people in the chat would be interested in?
Yeah,
It'd probably be long.
it would be long. Multiple speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably something in there would be interesting to you, maybe.
Yeah. I think so. I think we can get enough people together to have an interesting conference.
Break out the keyboard and guitar, and somebody could play music.
Yeah, I can just like dick
We're
around
gonna
on
have
my ocarina the
moments
whole time.
before that.
That's true.
Yeah. So you got lots of instruments to show off.
Yeah. What else we got? We got Teespring too.
Yep.
If you don't feel like paying us every month, you could go on Teespring and get yourself a nice little shirt or a nice large shirt.
Is this shirt on Teespring?
No, this shirt sadly is not on Teespring, but we have
But
other shirts.
We still have a few of these laying around.
I think they're just large, the ones that we have left.
Okay, if you wear a large shirt,
I don't know.
You would be
okay,
wrong.
well, if you
We
wear,
have medium and small, but in short supply.
okay,
Do we have other sizes left?
Just look through the pile.
Oh well.
Okay, well, we have a short supply of this shirt, the original, the OG Milwaukee Atheist T-shirt.
Slogan is
OG.
on another T-shirt. That's what it says on the back.
Yeah, I left my slogan on my other T-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty generic.
Yeah, pretty generic. It's not really that good. You probably don't want it.
No, you
I like it.
probably don't.
But the ones in Teespring are better.
Why do you think we're not letting you see our backs right now?
Horrible. What else we got going? Wish list. Our Amazon wish list. There are lots of books on there.
Yep.
So if you want to add to our table or to add to any future videos we will do, we read through those books and then we use them as sources.
Yep. And I think that pretty much covers it, except for Facebook, Twitter.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Facebook and Twitter. It's free to follow us there. So
BitChute.
that's true.
BitChute,
BitChute link is in the description.
You've got to
Upload
upload things
many
to
things
BitChute.
too, yeah.
Yep. Because, I'd like to get on BitChute's good side. I mean, I'm probably never going to get on Susan's good side.
I don't think anyone is on Susan's good side.
Yeah. But I might be able to get on BitChute
Perhaps
people's
popular
good
demand
side.
will
I don't
overturn
know.
Susan.
Who knows? Well, with that being said, we'll see you on Friday when we finish Second Maccabees.
Yep. So see you Friday, Sunday, also Sunday.
One of the days of the week.
We're gonna change this